Going, everybody. Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sunday, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern. And my God, is it bright in here. I'll fix that after the first break. Well, it's Monday on the show, and you know what that means? We got a lot to get into here today. This weekend, AEW Full Gear. A lot to talk about coming out of Full Gear. A lot of great matches, a lot of angles, the highs and the lows. We'll talk about it all on the show here today. And, of course, there was also Collision and Rampage and SmackDown. And we have Survivor Series this coming weekend. And we've got Thanksgiving. And, of course, Raw is coming up tonight. We'll never get through everything, but we're going to do our best. So, the Raw lineup, the NXT lineup, Survivor Series lineup, fallout from the Full Gear show. I am $100 in quarters richer. MJF retained the title in the main event, but it did not come out of it unscathed. So we got to talk about that, as well as other AEW injuries. And man, if you watch the pay-per-view, there's probably actually anything this weekend. Probably a lot of people you think I could be talking about in terms of this injury, but it is actually not who you think. So we will tell you about that. SmackDown going to Germany. Notes from the Full Gear post-show press conference, which I believe went 2.5 hours. We've got Ronda Rousey making a one-time appearance for Ring of Honor, Dynamite ratings, and, of course, the full review, or as much of a review as we can do for everything today here on this show. Dave and I, Vinny and Craig and I, have already reviewed everything for subscribers at WrestlingObserver.com. And Filthy Tom and I will also be up in about 2 hours talking more. He's watched a lot as well. So if we don't get through all of it today, well, as a subscriber, you can, in fact, hear more than you'll ever need to know about everything. But we will do as much as we can here today. Back in a moment to kick it off, Observer Live.
Welcome back to Rent-to-Own Auto Arena. The next match on tonight's Portland wrestling card. Beautiful Bryan Alvarez versus Adam Firestorm. This match is being brought to you in part by 1-800-OWN-A-CAR.
Fans, just like we said, right back with another match. Adam Firestorm from Auckland, New Zealand versus beautiful, or so self-proclaimed beautiful, Bryan Alvarez. LC, this should be another great matchup.
Well, pardon me if I'm not completely into this matchup. Every time Miss Rent-to-Own Auto comes out, I can't help but stare at her two big, beautiful blue eyes, brother.
Well, I believe that that is what you're focused on for sure, LC. Miss Rent-to-Own Miss Rent-to-Own Auto, not happy with Bryan Alvarez 2 weeks ago when he was losing to the grappler. But last week, a victory over Ed Moretti, and all seemed happy with the lovely one.
Well, he's lovely. Yes, he wants to be the pampered cow, but maybe he'll turn into spoiled milk, Jack.
You got Adam Firestorm from Auckland, New Zealand, been dying to come into Portland wrestling. Bryan Alvarez claiming that he pulled his hair. Obviously, he did not. Referee Mark Watson checking. He will have to keep a close look on the devious Bryan Alvarez, I would rather call it, the beautiful one. There he is, whipped into the ropes. Off he comes. Shoulder tackle puts Adam Firestorm down. Back and forth action. Bryan Alvarez flying big hip toss by Adam Firestorm. Another one puts Bryan Alvarez down. Drop kick down on his back was Bryan Alvarez. He's going to dive outside. Take a moment. Miss Rent-to-Own Auto not looking very happy right there, LC.
No, she's not. And youth gone wild, brother. Adam Firestorm is banging people like he's in a mosh pit, brother.
Adam Firestorm going outside, going to chase Bryan Alvarez right back in. Adam Firestorm likes to control the action inside the ring. Oh, Bryan Alvarez catches Adam Firestorm coming in with a kick in the middle rope, putting him down. Now a boot to the face. Adam Firestorm maybe a little too energetic outside, LC, not taking enough care of himself.
That's right. He was all fired up, but that'll take the wind right out of his sails, and he need not worry about Miss Rent-to-Own Auto now after that shot in the gonads he just took.
And then a hard whip into the back. Small of the back really put Adam Firestorm down. Bryan Alvarez, now he's pulling his shirt over his head. Big chop across the chest. Adam Firestorm now, he's firing back. There's 1, 2. Now he's got Bryan Alvarez. He whips him into the corner hard. Adam Firestorm following up, catches a boot to the face.
Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, listen, I got a lot going on.
Apparently you do.
Yeah, it's a very busy whatever here. Know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got so much going on, brother.
Apparently it's going on in that chat, isn't it?
Actually, it has nothing to do with the chat. I'm actually loading up the chat right now because I wasn't paying any attention. Because I was busy trying to do other stuff. Well, let's talk about where the heck is all of the chats here.
I don't know.
There
Did
we
you
go.
Fix the light.
I fixed the light,
All right.
turned off this and that. There we go. All right. Well, let's start. Let's start at the beginning.
It's a good place to start.
Okay, so I didn't go. Boy, do I feel like an idiot. I did not go to Full Gear. I was at home. And that means that, actually, I'll go even further. You know, everyone likes a story to start out with the news.
Yeah.
Well, last year, my family and one of Paisley's friends and their family, they all got tickets to Zoo Lights. And do you remember? You probably don't remember. None of you remember. What am I talking about? The tickets were for the Zoo Lights the night of Full Gear last year, and I didn't go to the Zoo Lights. I was irritated. I was like, God, what kind of guy can't go to Zoo Lights on a Saturday night because he's got to work? And the reason I didn't go was because Bleacher Report sucks. And if I didn't watch the show live, it was like you got to wait sometimes 24 hours. Like a year ago, it would not go up immediately. So I sat at home and I missed Zoo Lights. And I said, you know what? This is stupid. There ain't no way I'm missing Zoo Lights next year.
You put your foot down.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they bought tickets again for the exact same night, the night of Full Gear. And I said, you know what? I'm not missing Zoo Lights. I don't care. I'm going to Zoo Lights.
Maybe they're trying to tell you something, Brian.
I'm gonna watch the first hour of this show. I'm gonna go to Zoo Lights. I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna pray that they've got the replay up and I can watch the rest. And away we go. But I'm not missing Zoo Lights this year. So in fact, I went to Zoo Lights. It was great.
Good.
And I came home, and by the grace of the good Lord and all these folks at Bleacher Report, the replay was up immediately. So I got everything done. Everything was great. But the point is, I was here. I was not there. So I wasn't there, and I didn't go to the post-fight press conference. And because I was watching the rest of the show on delay, I didn't watch it either. Okay? So what's the point? The point is the main event of the show was MJF and Jay White. Now, we can talk about the angle that everybody hated, but the fact of the matter is the match itself, once they got all of the rigmarole out of the way, once they actually had a wrestling match, I thought they had a great main event, and MJF ended up retaining the title. He didn't bury Jay White, you idiots.
Never recover. We'll
Okay?
Never recover. No.
But here's the point. So MJF is, he doesn't do a lot of crazy stuff. But every now and then he does something crazy. He did a Fosbury flop dive a couple of weeks ago. Which actually, he used to do that all the time on the indies. But here's the point. He did not come to AEW and just start doing Fosbury flops every match. It's like, we didn't see it for 3.5 years or whatever before he finally pulled that thing out of his pocket. So during the match, he goes to put old Jay White on the announce table, and the announce table broke as he was putting him on. And, these fans, all they want are their stupid tables. I've seen, and it's every company. It's WWE, it's AEW. Like, you'll do all of this crazy stuff, and these fans still chant, "We want tables." It's like, dude, this guy got sliced all to heck with broken glass and barbed wire, but you want a table. Okay, whatever. So anyway, once that table broke, it was like, oh man, time stood still. And they didn't have another table. So either this crowd's turn on the match or I'm going up top and I'm doing that elbow anyway. I'm sure all this was going through his mind. So he goes up top. He stands on the post. And he's looking down, and there's Jay White on the floor. And he does a flying elbow. And, I reviewed the show last night, and I was like, hey, man, every now and then you do something crazy, and, everything turns out all right. And he threw the guy back in, and they kept doing the match, and everything was fine. What I did not know was he practically killed himself on that spot. He, the post-fight presser, he was a mess. And, comes out today that this is not like some storyline. His hip was dislocated. He dislocated his hip. His shoulder's all messed up. And, he was, I'm sure, in agony at the pay-per-view or at the press conference. And they had to try to put everything back together again. And, hopefully there's nothing serious going on right here. But your AEW World Champion just about destroyed himself because a table broke. And he had to do a flying elbow off the post to the floor. I don't ever recommend doing a flying elbow off the post to the floor, everybody. But you know what? Things happen. Yeah. So all the best to him. Hopefully he's all right. But that was the big main event angle. And the big aftermath is hopefully this guy is okay as we head into Dynamite on Wednesday.
Their most valuable asset, the biggest thing that they have going for them, and the center of their universe right now with how they've done their programming. Everything revolves around MJF, sometimes too much. But the fact of the matter is, regardless, it does revolve around him. So obviously you don't want him to miss any time. And you said it. You didn't have to do that. You didn't actually have to go up to the top. And now people might have pause in case something like that happens to them in their match. Maybe you grab this chair and you set up a spot out there or something like that. You have that backup plan in your mind because, again, you never know when a bad injury could happen. And, hip injuries and shoulder injuries, things like that, once they slip out of place, makes it a lot easier as things go along for him to slip out of place. And hips with wrestlers can't be a good thing anyway. I was always amazed on how long Bobby Eaton lasted and how he was able to walk up until the time that he passed, and just all of the moves that he would do, those Alabama jams and all that sort of stuff, just an amazing amount of brutality. And MJF doesn't do that. And I think that's something that you pointed out last night on the Bryan and Vinny show that should not be glossed over. The less you do, the more you end up getting out of it once you do it. And obviously some guys are wired for different things. Darby Allin, a great example of that. You're never going to be able to slow him up or make it not do some of the stuff that makes him who he is. But, coming up with most wrestlers, again, MJF is a great example on getting the most out of it because it depends on the time and the place and the psychology of doing that move.
So, we're going to go over the results here. I don't have time in the next 2 minutes to talk about Jay White, but I'll do that after the break. So, and we'll talk about the angle, because I'm sure everybody wants to talk about angle. But quick results, listen, I know there were some complaints about this or that, but if you're a fan of wrestling, there were a bunch of great matches on this show. Eddie Kingston beat Jay Lethal in a very good match on the pre-show to retain the Ring of Honor title. And he's putting all of his belts on the line in the Continental Classic. And the winner is coming out of it as the, Ring of Honor Triple Crown champion. So all of those belts are going to be merged together. And yes, there is a Continental Championship that is going to be part of the deal. Claudio beat Buddy Matthews.
But you can't travel. That's
Ranted
not
about that
intercontinental.
plenty.
You're stuck on your own continent.
We'll talk about the MGF match later on. Sting and Darby and Adam Copeland beat Luchasaurus, Nick Wayne, and Christian when this despicable, disgusting horror of a man, Christian, walked out on his team, and Luchasaurus was defeated. Very good match. Darby now on his way to Nepal to train to climb Mount Everest. But presumably he'll be back because I guess it's several months before climbing season. There is a climbing season. We had Orange Cassidy and Jon Moxley. Great match. Orange Cassidy ended up beating Moxley with a series of orange punches in the beach break. Excellent match. He retains the title. And we'll go on after the break with more Observer Live. Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Tony
See what
Storm.
Jingu was booking in that thread. Look at this thing.
I'm not
Look
looking at the
chat.
thread right
oh
now.
My God.
I got plenty.
Ugh.
Tony Storm beat Hikaru Shida, AW Women's title. And everybody was very happy. They loved the gimmick. I did not like this match. It's turned into all Tony Storm. It's one thing when you got like the gimmick that's all hijinks, but then you go have a Tony Storm match because like she's really good. But now it's like we got a gimmick, and then the gimmick permeates the match.
Yeah.
And it was just...
I like Tony Storm doing her gimmick. I don't want gimmick Tony Storm, and that's what it's turned into. And I think it was a silver serving dish, Brian.
Oh, get out of here. It was a frying pan.
It's not a frying pan.
A frying
That
pan
would've
for
been
little
funny.
people is what it
That
was.
really would. And don't give them any ideas with this character. She might shove a frying pan over there just
That's
for the
fine.
laugh of it.
Whatever. I mean, if we're going to go that far. Then
Oh,
we had
no.
Ricky Starks and Big Bill retaining the titles over FTR, Roosh, and Dralistico and House of Black in a ladder match. I mean, if you love... And you know what was actually great? I had one complaint, which was for 2/3 of this match, nobody was trying to actually win the match.
Yeah.
It was, hey, let's get a ladder and then do a spot. And there was even a spot where the ladder was set up for Malachi to climb and win. And he said, no, not yet. We must do a spot. He actually said, we're not climbing right now. And he did a spot.
Brian,
So if you think I feel bad for that guy not winning, think again.
I can't one-up you either, but I can give you an even one. Dax Harwood, when he was the only one in the ring and everybody's cleared out, he picks up the ladder and he puts it on his head. Nobody's even near him yet, and he starts to spin, and then obviously led to Commander.
And then everybody
drop
runs in to
kicking
get
him
hit
and
by
all
the
that.
ladder.
Yes, it's just sometimes
Ridiculous.
you do too much.
But you know what? You know what I will say? What it was a spot fest. And if you've been watching ladder matches of late, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like totally safe, but by modern 2023 ladder match standards, they did all sorts of great spots, and none of them were exceedingly dangerous. I mean, the most dangerous one was probably the Gonzo bomb on a ladder bridge, but even that was like, Brody always protects people on that move.
Matthew Justice would be offended on how few dangerous spots there
No,
were.
I was very happy. We had Statlander losing the title to Julia Hart in a three-way with Sky Blue, and like nobody expected Julie to win. And then when she did, they went nuts because they've wanted Julie to be champion for a while. They even cheered her versus Statlander the last time they had a title match. And so when she actually won, pitting Sky Blue, they went crazy. And there was no heat early, but they had heat at the end. So I can say nothing bad about this match. They did a good job. They announced the signing of Will Ospreay, although he did note that he will be finishing up with New Japan first. So he's I shouldn't say exclusive, but he's going to be finishing up everything through February, and then he'll be heading to AEW, and he wants Wembley, August 25th. So that seems to write itself.
No post-show outrage or banter over Will Ospreay being the signee as opposed to somebody else.
Well, no, because that was a huge signing, quite frankly. Then we had Swerve and Hangman in probably the most gruesome match ever seen on a Major League North American event. I mean, staple guns, stapling things to Swerve's face.
Emphasize
glass.
the staple guns because that's how they started.
Yeah, they started with that. One guy bleeding a fountain and the other guy laying underneath his face to drink the blood out of the fountain.
My.
I see my kids drinking out of a fountain, and I'm trying to tell them, don't get too close to the spigot. Other kids put their mouth on that.
Yeah, there's too much iron in there. Wait till
This
you try
was-
the blood.
Golly. And we had glass, and we had cinder blocks, and barbed wire, and accidental barbed wire to the face. I mean, this was just... And then these absolute maniac fans, then they want fire. They weren't satisfied.
Well, you got maybe. Hey, if you don't ask, you never know.
So Swerve ends up hitting him with a cinder block, hanging him by the neck by a chain from the ring post, and winning. Hangman has now beaten him twice. It is a Texas death match, unlikely to ever be topped.
No.
Even Moxley was like, I'm going to barf. I don't know if he actually said that. I doubt it. Then we had the Young Bucks.
I don't know. I've seen some pretty violent things and been front row for some violent things. when he stuck his head underneath there and it was like, nah, and he actually started getting the blood all over him and in his mouth, that was something. That was certainly that was a moment. This was a spectacle of a show.
There is so much stupidity in this this YouTube chat right now, but I'm going to deal with that later. Then the Young Bucks versus Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and they had to follow that Texas death match, and it took them a little while, but they, in fact, got the people, and in the end, both Nick
Wrestling.
It was actually Matt Jackson. Nick was gonna, but he stopped himself. Then Matt actually hit a low blow, and then Jericho hit a low blow, and Kenny Omega, who's like, he's the one nice guy in all of this. He doesn't want to be involved in anything. He sees everybody just being horrible people, and he has to make a choice who he's going to V-trigger. And he teases hitting his own partner, but instead he hits Nick, ends up hitting Matt with the one-winged angel. The Golden
Should've hit
Jets.
all three, 7-10 split.
The Golden Jets get the win. They now have a guaranteed title shot. And the Young Bucks flipped their lids and stormed out. And Brandon Cutler did a tweet saying that the Young Bucks were taking time off for personal issues, and it's a storyline tweet.
Can he go with them?
They are not having any personal issues. Well, I mean, I don't know if they're having personal issues, but they're not having any personal issues leading to time off.
No.
So, but they may take time off. It's like, you know, the let's just put it this way.
I mean, you just signed for that much money. Pull a Howard Stern, take as many days off as you can.
Let me put it this way, and this is not just the Young Bucks, but like this is all of AEW. With some exceptions, like you can see with MJF storylines, I mean they're planned out long in advance, and he sticks to them as closely as he can. I mean, the days of every storyline is intricately booked out long term, it's over. They are booking week to week to week to week.
Oh.
And not everything, but like a lot of stuff. And that's why you're seeing a lot of changes. Somebody on our board,
It's not good.
they actually had a list this long of all of these different angles and people beating and all of this stuff that was just like, you read it and you went, what? Because every week, what are we going to do? Who's hurt? Or, whatever. They didn't announce the Young Bucks until the day before the match in their hometown last week. And it wasn't like it was something that had been built up. It was like the day before they announced, Penta and Commander, let's just do it. What did this have to do with anything? Nothing. It was just the day before they added this match. So they may be on the show Wednesday. They may not be on the show Wednesday. They may be on Saturday, they may not. They may be on next week, they may not. So who knows? So there you go.
That is a terrible indictment of things to say that, and it's unfortunate.
But you can watch the show and it's clear. I'm not making it up. It's obvious watching.
I'm just saying, but when has that ever been a successful strategy? And unfortunately, even if you have an end game in mind and your big stuff you're booking towards that, that's one of the biggest problems with this promotion is the layers of the undercard and how guys are cycled or not cycled through and how they get their wins and who they get them against. It's a process that you have to build up over time, and you have to lay that psychology into people's heads over who people are and how they're tiered. You know, Ricky Starks is a great example of a guy they pushed and then they pulled back. They pushed, then they pulled back. Daniel Garcia, a good, there are a lot of guys there who have that issue, and that's not good to hear when the executive vice presidents who just signed this big money deal, you couldn't get them on the show. You had no plan for them to announce them.
We talked about this last week.
Again, I know, and there's a lot of stuff like that. So again, one of the things about AEW is you come out of these pay-per-views and the matches are great because no matter what you say about the lead into most of these shows, and WWE is also the same example of this right now too, where the storylines are what they are, but as long as you give me what I want during the pay-per-view or the PLE, whatever you want to call it, I'm happy. But then it's still, you have problems though if you don't follow up on that stuff and take advantage of it. WWE in a lot of ways has. AEW has not, and it's been 4 years, frankly, of a lot of the same messy issues.
WWE at this point, as far as like all of the matches and all of the programs, they have more long-term booking than AEW does right now.
Absolutely.
But it's not every program. Like
That's
you can
true.
watch like the Swerve Hangman program. I mean, that's clearly week to week. Not week to week, but like they've got a plan. And every week there's a different part of this longer term plan.
And you can
but there's a
tweak
lot
that
of
plan
other
as you go
stuff.
along.
There's a lot of other stuff that you can see. It's like people show up at the building. Are we doing something or not? What are we doing? Okay.
That's crazy.
And
And,
then
Brian,
the
injuries
next.
can't be blamed as an excuse for this, too, because we've always had this. It's you need to allow yourself safety valves and outs. That's why everybody is not in a feud at the same time all of the time. So, like, to say, well, there's injuries that happen. Yes, there are injuries that happen, but you have to have enough dexterity in your booking and in your planning to make those changes and make them actually go a lot smoother than they have been.
And then we had the main event, and we'll get to that as we come back from the break because they had a show-long storyline. And the funny thing is, like, I didn't have a problem with the, like, overall. Well, I shouldn't say overall storyline because I didn't have a problem with the overall storyline. How it began and how it ended, I had no problem with it. But there was a big thing in the middle that was so absolutely ridiculous.
Pile of poo.
Completely ridiculous. And the funny thing is, you didn't need that part.
No, this is where the bad booking came to the pay-per-view. You don't want this. You
Back
don't
in a
want that
moment.
part of the TV show.
Observer
No.
Live. Back at the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. I'm not even going to mention this guy's name in the chat, but he's clueless. Listen, let's talk about this MJF thing, okay?
Oh, boy.
All right. We'll talk about what happened first. So MJF is on the pre-show, and they do the tag team title match with Samoa Joe. And they win. They retain the Ring of Honor tag team titles. Adam Cole returns on crutches to... Well, he just showed up. There's a distraction, I guess, the music. Yeah. But anyway, Samoa Joe choked out Colton and won.
Why was Samoa Joe in that match?
Because
Adam Cole couldn't compete.
Adam Cole
right?
could not compete.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So they retain the titles, and then after Joe left, the Guns attack MJF. They stomp a mud hole in him. Cole can't do anything because he's on crutches. Austin smashes MJF's leg with chair shots. They wrap the chair around his ankle. They Pillmanize it off the middle rope. He's selling it like crazy. They stretcher him out. They put him in the ambulance. And he screams, "Adam, don't let them take my championship, please. Adam!" And he's carted away.
Oof.
And Adam promised, "I won't let them take it." Okay? So he's gone. We go into the pay-per-view.
By the way, so is Joe.
The pay-per-view begins with no word on old MJF. We don't know what's going on. Then the train went off the tracks. After the first match, Tony Schiavone comes out. Jay White rushes out, demands Tony tell the people the truth. Tony Schiavone says, "Well, I hate to tell the fans this, but MJF was injured. He will not be able to compete tonight. And therefore, the match will not take place. Therefore," he says, "by default, your new AEW champion," and suddenly Adam Cole's music hits.
Brian, let me stop you right there.
Hold on, we'll get to that.
Wait, okay.
Adam Cole comes out, and he says there is not a shot in hell that Jay White is leaving tonight as the AEW champion. "I made a promise to my friend. I am a man of my word. I have already talked to Tony Khan."
Wait a second.
And Tony Khan has stated, if MJF is unable to compete tonight, I will replace him leg or no leg. So, let's stop for a second. First off, how many times have people been injured? And the solution to this injury is, in fact, to create an interim championship. How many times has a person been unable to defend their title and the title was just given to the other person? I don't recall ever. So then, this madman, Tony Khan, in storyline, the storyline Tony Khan says to Adam Cole, "Okay, I see you on crutches with that giant walking boot. And I agree. You should be able to replace MJF in that championship match with Jay White tonight. Hobble your ass to the ring on crutches in that walking boot. We'll ring that bell and let's have some action."
You're the one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
Well, the other thing is the other guy's got one leg.
Well,
so that guy who has one leg can't wrestle. But this guy with one leg, okay, let's do it. This doesn't make a lick of sense.
Can I call a timeout?
Zilch.
Let me call a timeout here.
Quickly.
Because you keep talking about this. The fact of the matter is, they made a decision. Tony Khan made a decision. The belt was going to be forfeited. He knew this. It's happening on his show. And as that happens, I just spoke to Tony Khan.
As he was coming through the curtain.
Apparently.
As he was coming through the curtain. This got changed. So, it's time for the main event. And Jay White comes out. Actually, no, I'm sorry. First, Adam Cole comes out. And he hobbles his ass to the ring on crutches with a gigantic walking boot. He couldn't even shave for this big match, I might add.
Well.
And he gets in the ring. Out comes Jay White. They literally announce it is Jay White versus Adam Cole on crutches. He's on crutches. And they're about to... Bryce holds up the belt. The belt's on the line, brother. But then, of course, the ambulance arrives.
The glass breaks.
They announce that MJF has stolen an ambulance. No! Stop that. Stop that. Have a doctor drive him back or something. That's ridiculous. That's more ridiculous than Adam Cole on crutches in the middle of the ring. So he hobbles to the ring. He's also hobbling, but you know what? He doesn't need crutches. He's just got tape on his leg.
Maybe it was a private EMT service.
He was driving. He stole it. And then he gets in the ring and the match begins. And from that point, fine. Okay? Yeah. So I got a couple things to say. I've been talking for an hour. So first off, if they had just injured MJF and he was taken to the hospital, and then we have to hope that he makes it back in time, fine. He makes it back in the last second, okay? Fine. If he had screamed, someone gave me this idea, if he had screamed, Adam, don't let them do an interim title. And then Adam's like, I'll find somebody.
That's too much dialogue.
No, I'll find somebody. And then throughout the entire show, who's he going to find? Is he going to find somebody?
Don't let them erase me with the pencil,
and then, hey,
Adam.
Out comes MJF, and he's able to do the match. All right? All of these things, fine. Okay? Now, the match itself, the psychology of MJF, everyone's like, oh, this is one numbskull. He goes, one-legged man beat Jay White. Jay's buried. Heard that a lot. One-legged man. Okay? And another guy was like, oh, this whole thing was too WWE. These AEW fans don't want to see WWE. Spoken by somebody who didn't watch the main event. These fans, whatever you think of the angle, and I thought the storyline in the middle of the show, I thought it sucked. The fans ate it up. Because you know what it was once they finally rang the bell? It was a babyface fighting from the bottom to try to retain his championship against a diabolical heel. Okay? And now this whole thing about Jay White lost to a one-legged man. Have you guys never watched wrestling? Are you new? You've never seen a match where a guy came out with an injury and overcame the odds and won. Did you just start watching yesterday? Hey, you know, I just watched a match where Drew McIntyre faced a guy with a broken back. And the guy with the broken back won. I didn't hear anyone say that Drew McIntyre was sunk. Yeah, he was doomed.
Bunch of CM Punks that never saw Rocky 3.
Forget Rocky 3. That's a movie. I'm talking wrestling. You guys never saw Bret Hart sell a leg injury? His whole gimmick was selling leg injuries. I've seen guys with broken legs, broken backs, broken shoulders, broken necks, broken frickin' necks. I've seen it all. What are you, new? Yeah, a guy came back with a bad leg. He overcame the odds. The fans were eating it up the entire match. Did you not watch the match? Of course you didn't watch the match. You're just going to cry about it. And at the end of the day, it worked out great. Guy overcame the odds. He won. He hit the dude with a ring, by the way. It's not like he pinned him clean. He hit him with his ring, and he pinned him. And at the end of the day, Jay White is going to be a top star, and he's going to be fine. And you're all making a big deal out of nothing. Listen, here's the thing. I say this to my kids all the time.
What's that?
Life is hard enough with you guys. Don't make it harder, okay? If you want to complain about Adam Cole being announced as the challenger for Jay White on crutches and a walking boot, bro, there's plenty to complain about. But to complain about the actual bell-to-bell main event, you're a moron. That worked out fine. Save your breath for the other stuff that was stupid. Not the actual main event with the babyface champion fighting from underneath and actually winning and the place going haywire for it. That worked out great. So anyway, what do you want me to do about it?
Well,
you want me to book your kind of wrestling where if you have a leg injury, you can never win? Your kind of wrestling ain't going to get over, brother. Go book your own stupid promotion.
Do you believe that it's just maybe some emotional Jay White fans that He has not been treated
No,
perfectly.
these people don't even watch the show, brother.
Okay.
Some of them do. And listen,
Because
hey, if
you
you're
can
upset
argue
about
that he has not been booked perfectly in the hodgepodge that's been going on.
no one's ever booked perfectly.
Brian, I know.
Ever.
But look, this whole thing could have been built to in a different way, a lot better. But they've had a lot of stuff going on with MJF, and I could see. Look, and Jay White has not taken the ball and run with it on promos, not yet. He's still learning into the American style. At least he should be. At least cutting it back a little bit, but. The match itself, as you said, Jay White, if you're a fan of Jay White, how can you think all of a sudden he's going to be buried for the remainder of his contract now or something like that? Again, they have got to keep him in the mix. But I also believe that they are going to keep him in the mix, and I believe he and Juice Robinson, unfortunately, Juice is out right now apparently, but those guys are going to get themselves over. Those guys are going to stay, again, pretty strong, I would think, and they're going to be treated pretty well. I think there's an overreaction as far as a real big one from, real Jay White fans thinking that he's going to be misused there. And got to be honest, again, from what we've talked about with the booking, I hope that's not the case. I hope they have plans for him for his next feud and keeping it strong.
Fact of the matter is, I don't think Jay White was ever beaten. When he came in with Bullet Club Gold, he was never the one to drop a fall. They protected this guy so strong. He was running around with the belt. They protected him so long that Lenny bet me $100 he was winning at the pay-per-view. And that's the other thing. That's the other thing about that angle. Yes, the Adam Cole stuff was stupid, but the idea that Max was injured and may not be able to make it for the main event, and if he does, how could he possibly win with one leg? The whole point of that was to convince you that, in fact, it is not a foregone conclusion that MJF is going to win, which to me, all the way up until the day of the pay-per-view, it was a foregone conclusion. So I'm $100 richer, might add. But it's called putting doubt in the minds of the fans. That's what it is. It's been done for 100 years in pro wrestling. Longer. So anyway. Convoy
here. It may not have been good for Jay White then. The whole thing is, could it have been better? Maybe, but to me, I don't know. I don't see where it was all that awful when everything is said and done. I really don't.
Listen, if I sit here and tell you that Jay White is sunk as a result of this, then what I'm telling you is I don't have any faith in this guy's abilities as a promo, as a worker, and as a top star. But in fact, I do. And so that's why I know the guy is going to be fine.
And a guy that other people want to work with.
Exactly.
Which is part of this game, too.
He proved that he can carry a main event feud. Or that he can, I shouldn't say carry. I mean, they both did a great job. But, he was in a main event feud, and he did a great job with it. And, he's going to be fine. Hangman. Do you realize that Hangman Page... It's funny. It's I didn't hear anyone talk about Hangman being buried. And the fact of the matter is, Hangman and Swerve had a match at the last pay-per-view. Swerve beat him, basically clean. Swerve then broke into the guy's house and cut a promo on his baby. Hangman Page vowed revenge and went on to lose. No one's talking about Hangman being buried? Back in a moment, Observer Live.
There's 1, 2. Now he's got Bryan Alvarez. He whips him into the corner hard. Adam Firestorm following up, catches a boot to the face. Bryan Alvarez with another hard shot to the head. 1, 2. This is the most aggressive I've seen Bryan Alvarez today here in Portland Wrestling. Now he's got his knee across the throat. He's choking him, LC.
Well, it's like this week Alvarez has something to prove, brother. Something to prove to his sweet little lady over there.
Of course, Adam Firestorm with a big win over Black Dragon last week. Looking for another one here. There's a sunset flip. Is he going to go down? Yes, he is. Over he goes. 1, 2, 3. It is all over. Adam Firestorm with the victory over beautiful Bryan Alvarez here in Portland Wrestling. Now out Bryan Alvarez firing away with a boot. Action continues after the bell. Goes for the back body drop. No! Face first plant by Adam Firestorm. your winner once. Looks like he'll be your winner twice. Action continues. There's a whip into the far corner. Adam Firestorm follows with a spinning kick. LC, I think Bryan Alvarez has bit off more than he could chew tonight. Miss Rent-to-Own really disgusted over in the corner. Adam Firestorm not done. There's a Lion Soul on top. He hooks him again. 1, 2. 2.5. I thought we had a 3 count earlier in this match, LC. I was wrong. I'm sorry.
I can't believe it. I thought Youth Gone Wild was just adding a little salt to the wound. I thought Alvarez was Alvarez and a 2-time loser, brother.
Well, Mark Watson's hand must have stopped just short of the 3 count. And these eyes of mine need glasses, because I thought I saw a 3 count. Bryan Alvarez going up top.
Oh, we'll forget about your cataracts, brother. Up and over he goes.
Nobody home. Adam Firestorm back in control, playing a bit of possum. He's climbing up top. Is Rento and Otto really upset? There he goes. Swap.
Oh, and that one hit.
There's a hook leg. 1, 2, 3. Now it's all over.
A 2-time loser. And does the LC have to look after Miss Rento and Otto tonight, baby?
There's Adam Firestorm, your winner in this match. Once, twice, 3 times, it didn't matter. Bryan Alvarez not up to it. Miss Rento and Otto absolutely disgusted with it. Mark Watson explaining to him it was a 3 count this time. No hook the leg. Fair and square, Adam Firestorm, your winner here on Portland Wrestling. Fans will be right back with after a message from our sponsors.
You know, everybody, whatever you want to say about me, I can tell you one thing, and that is that I am not new. If anything, I am very old. I've been watching this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing this a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I go on the internet and I see the same thing, I'll even read the tweet right here because it's just like classic. The guy goes, I'm usually on Bryan's side, but he seems to be missing why people didn't like the angle of the main event and how it looked for Jay. Like,
I think if you're calling him Jay, that says you got
listen to me.
Emotional thing there.
Listen to me.
Why are you doing this?
I've seen this
Jay
over and over and over again. Yeah, but this time it's different. Yeah, but this time it's different. Yeah, but this time it's different. If I had a list of people that lost in a main event in AEW or WWE and the internet was in an uproar, yeah, but really this person's buried this time. Yeah, this is not like before. It's not new. I've seen it 1,000 times. And in 95% of the cases, they're not buried. I don't think some of you even know what it means to be buried.
I think a lot of people don't. It got
there
skewed.
have been times in history where people have, in fact, been buried. And if you lived through those times and you saw those things happen, you would not be sitting here saying that Jay White was buried by what happened at the pay-per-view, because he was not. Absolutely not. That match you guys saw during the break with me and Adam Firestorm, I was buried in that one, though.
Yeah. At least you didn't get your girl stolen. And then,
no, I did. Later.
Oh, that's true.
It sucked.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's been real. Get pushed off the stage in a wheelchair like Cardona.
I'll see you guys in an hour. Filthy Tom, only for subscribers. WrestlingObserver.com, video.f4wonline.com. Talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live.